Hello, everybody, and welcome to Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we empower, inspire, and uplift women to become the goddesses they are meant to be. I'm Julietta, the magical PT. I am a physical therapist here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I have been a PT for 30 years now, which is just crazy to me that it's been that long. And got to the stage in my life where I totally love what I do. I love, love, love what I do. But there's other things that bring me joy too. So I've become an artist, a jewelry maker, and now a podcaster with my amazing friend here, Alison. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I am Alison Mancini, and I am also in South Florida and originally from Michigan. We're both original Midwesterners, a Wisconsinite and a Michigander, but been in Florida for a very long time, 28 years, more than half of my life. And I am a mom to two young adults, a wife to an amazing husband, and I have fur babies that are not behaving themselves right now, but we're going to roll with it. And we were talking about with our guest who's coming on how we just kind of really switched. When the pandemic hit, a lot of us did different things or regrouped or however you want to look at it. And when the pandemic hit, I decided, what have I been waiting for? I'm going to do what I've always been passionate about, and that is health and nutrition. And so I went back and got my certification as a holistic nutritionist. And now I'm in the middle of getting another certification as a functional nutritionist, because that's really like my love language. And I'm also a human resources director for the Gold Digger Girl, an amazing social media marketing company, and a podcaster with my awesome co-host here. And I think that kind of covers a lot of it.
Yeah. So we've been asked many times, like, what made us start this podcast thingy that we're doing here?
Mm-hmm. This thing that we started that we're at,
right. So like
episodes of, yeah.
Yeah, we're how many episodes have we recorded?
7. We have 79 have launched out onto in podcast land, but we have many more waiting to go.
Yeah. And we've had 2,000 downloads. We're like ranked in Sweden. Not sure why we're ranked in Sweden, but it's super cool that we're ranked. We're international. We're viewed on all continents of this planet that we inhabit. So that's super cool as well. And, but I guess the big question is, like, why did we start the podcast?
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, we went into the pandemic, and Juliet and I knew each other through a networking organization. And we knew a lot of people that were struggling, that were afraid, that were unsure. Some were losing jobs. Some didn't know what to do. Some jobs completely came to a screeching halt and they couldn't do what they had been doing. And so she and I started talking about, okay, we know all these really incredible, amazing women. How can we support them? And Juliet and I have known each other for almost 7 years, and we just really love hanging out and conversation. We have a lot of really great, deep conversations. And I just said to her one day, I said, I've always wanted to start a podcast. You want to do a podcast? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And did we know what we were doing?
Heck no.
I had no idea. No idea.
But look at us now.
We have a producer. We have a lot of amazing guests as women. We're ranked in Sweden. We're just, and you know what I think is the craziest part, Julietta, because you and I talk about this a lot, is that we didn't expect how much we would get out of it, right? We were doing this really about other people, and we wanted to spotlight them and show I think one of the things we're really big on is diversity, right, of women. We've had as young as I think at the time she was 11-year-old, to as old as a woman in her 80s on our podcast, and from all over the world. Literally, we've had people from all over the world, every different kind of background you can think of. And it's just been really incredible, because I know we've
had a couple men on the show as well.
We have. We made a few exceptions. We haven't done that yet again, though, since those few times. But I don't know about you, but I just I walk away from these interviews and I just feel like I've learned and grown, and it's incredible. and laughed, and sometimes a little tears,
Couple
and
tears
that's what
once in a
we
while, yeah.
do.
So it's all been awesome, amazing. I love it, and I'm so glad that we just went for it and did it. So, oh, and there's
Our
our
producer,
producer.
she's awesome.
We love you, Jess. We wouldn't be here without you. So thank
That's
you
for
so.
sure. That's funny. No, we need to tell this story because that is the one thing we were like, okay, like Juliet and I are firm believers that we can figure anything out. Like we can learn how to do stuff, but there's a time factor. You've got other stuff going on. And so she knew of this incredible person and said, I have someone I think can help us. And we went to Jess, and Jess was like, yeah, I'm on it. And she makes us sound so good in our podcast. They're awesome.
All right. With all that, should we bring on our next guest?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Hello, Louisa.
Hello, ladies. Oh my goodness, I feel like I fit right in with both of you because that's exactly how my life has kind of come through. I love what you
Awesome.
both shared. Thank you.
So, would you please introduce yourself to our audience? Tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I would love to. I am Louisa Jovanovich. I am a mother of two teenagers. I was living in LA, moved to Florida, and moved back to LA with my two beautiful humans. I've got a son and a daughter and a fur baby. I have been a hairdresser for 23 years and decided, hi, Jess. I love Jess. I decided to become a clarity catalyst coach during COVID because when I started doing hair 23 years ago, what it physically took for me to stand behind the chair and to make the kind of money that I like making, it was physically a lot. And I kept looking at everybody much older than me. And I was like, how are they doing this? This is like not something I want to do. I love living my life like I live on vacation. And I want to enjoy every aspect of it and be able to pour into people. And not because I have to, but because I want to embrace them with my love. And working that hard, I was physically not okay. And then when I got pregnant and ended up on bed rest and I couldn't go into work, I actually was crying because that was my self-worth. I didn't know how to be anybody if I wasn't giving to others. And I didn't know how to have the self-love I needed to make it through my day. So COVID happens. And what it feels like is what's happening to me becomes what's happening for me because I used to fly back to LA every month to do my clients. And now I can fly. I was stuck. So being stuck meant my clients were stuck too. They couldn't go to anyone else to get their hair done. And they couldn't say, but I need my hair done. So I got the opportunity to get certified for, actually got the opportunity to continue growing myself and coaching. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I want to do this for everybody else. I want to share this opportunity because of how much it opened up for me. So through that, I hosted a 22-person summit last year. I became a best-selling author of 3 books in the last 6 months and moved to LA because that's where I wanted to. I moved back to LA and just really had my life take off. And it just kind of happened the way you guys were explaining. All of a sudden, the next step kept showing up and I kept being like, where do I need to be? Where can I be of service? How could I show up the most powerful way possible? And the answers kept coming and I kept taking the steps. So I'm super excited to share it with other people because it wasn't as scary as I thought.
Yeah, I think that's even like being on the show. So many of our guests are like, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. And then when it's all done, they're like, I don't know what I was so nervous about. That wasn't so bad. And I think that's true of everything in life. So
Absolutely. If I could share a tiny little story on that, I've been divorced now 3.5 years and I haven't had a Christmas tree for 3.5 years because I was scared of how I bring one home. I was like, that thing looks really big. And so I brought one home the other day. I put it up and I was like, oh, this was easy. I literally brought home a tree, put it up, decorated it. And I was so afraid of it. because I'm like, that tree looks real. I'm 5 feet tall. I'm a tiny little thing. So, and I was married to Mr. 6'4". So it looked like you had to be big to do this. I did it.
So sometimes I think men make things look harder than they are just so that we think that they're doing something really big, you know?
That is so true.
So true.
Oh.
Yep, yep. So let's dive into our questions. Our first question, Louisa, is what is your superpower?
I love this question. My superpower is seeing other people's superpowers. I can so clearly see other people's superpowers, and really, even because it's so clear, I help them see it for themselves, and then they are able to get excited about what had been in their blind spot, and then we get to together create like action steps that they're inspired to do. And every time, whether I used to have this happen every time, whether I was doing hair or coaching, people would leave my presence and they would say, wow, I feel so inspired. I didn't even know that this was standing in my way. Thank you so much. I assumed everybody had that experience with everyone they interacted with. I thought that was normal. And all of a sudden I started sharing it and they're like, wow, you have a gift in that. I'm like, I do. And so I really got excited about being able to be present and really connect to that part of me, and create the space for someone else to step into their superpowers, and they get to take action, and it just lights me up.
Yeah, it's interesting that so many people don't see it for themselves, and to have someone who can easily see it and just point it out for them and presence them to that ability. Yeah, it's super empowering for other people. So great superpower to have.
Thank you.
Our second question is, what is a book that has greatly influenced your life?
I kind of have 3.
You're not the only
one. I feel like I'm triple dipping, but I have 3. So one, I picked Think and Grow Rich, not because it was my favorite book. It was because it was everybody else's. And I was like, if everybody loves this book, there's something in it that I need to figure out. And all of a sudden, being in the alignment I was in, I'm in a mastermind, and they said, we are doing a co-authoring series with Think and Grow Rich. And would you like to write a chapter in the 13 principles of Think and Grow Rich? I was like, that's the greatest experience, because I get to now study the book everyone seems to be teaching from. And I started to live the book, because I had to write a chapter on each one. So we're just turned in the 4th chapter. So I have literally been experiencing a historical book. And again, it's not something you just read, because I tried reading it and I didn't quite get it. So I had the opportunity to now co-author and doing the work for it. So that is my first book that I love, because it's an opportunity and I feel like it got put in my path. And then my second book is Atomic Habits, because I thought I had ADD. I literally thought there was something desperately wrong with my attention issue. And apparently I just didn't have the right systems in place to do what it took to do the work. So the tiny little shifts, like 1%, will make all the difference in the world. Had I thought from last year to this year what I could have done, I would have never even started, because it seems overwhelming. But if I take one tiny little shift and implement tiny little things in my day, all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I've co-authored books and it's got bestseller, and I'm doing book signings at Barnes and Noble, and I'm coaching people, and I'm rebuilding an entire business, and I'm a single mom. Oh my God, I can't possibly not be qualified to do anything. I clearly have something that's working. So Atomic Habits was a huge one. And then Michael Singer's book, this is going to be a complete, what is that word? Where you kind of blow the story in something. So there is this part in the book where the girlfriend breaks up with him. He's super tired and he's overwhelmed and he hasn't slept because he really is not feeling well. And he's just lethargic and nothing, and pizza boxes around his house. And all of a sudden she calls and she says, can we meet? He jumps in the shower, cleans up his place, and he's ready to go. And he feels better all of a sudden. And he's like happy. Well, with all the people who are like, well, I haven't been sleeping. I'm really tired. I really need to like redo all of this in order to get the energy to do what you're doing. I really saw how all of those were stories, because the minute we get excited about something, he didn't sleep better. He didn't eat better. He didn't get a nutritionist. Nothing changed. A shift in energy in 1 second, something shifted and he's in the shower, house is clean, good to go. And how we really have all these like silly stories that hold us back. But we all know that moment where somebody calls and says, I'm coming over, and your house could get cleaned in 10 minutes, right? Like what could take you 4 hours, you could do in 10 minutes. And that's how fast, like, I just love the experience of energy. So these books light me up, because I get, myself and everyone else, we get stuck in our like limiting beliefs and stories. And when you hear it in someone else, you're like, oh yeah, I could do this. So those are my 3 that really shifted for me.
Yeah, we talk about our stories and our limiting beliefs a lot, and a shift in those. Once you have awareness, it's just having the awareness that they exist. Like, oh, this is just a story I'm telling myself, and change the story, change
Yeah,
your life.
exactly.
All right. Question number 3 is, what is your favorite self-love practice?
I was talking about this yesterday. I think being able to work out, meditate, and journal, and in that order, feels like a luxury to me. And it's also a not negotiable. Like if I don't do those things, those itty bitty shitty committee start showing up. I start feeling like, why does my body hurt? Why, like, do I have genetic issues like my mom? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, the things that get into my mind when I'm not doing those self-love things are quite crazy. And when I do get to work out, and I've learned, like, if I love riding my Peloton, but if I naturally can't just hop up onto it, I know if I put on tennis shoes and go for a walk and start breathing and walking and experiencing the outside, I'm going to feel better right away. Then I come back in and I hop on my bike, but I've learned, like, or also I put on my workout clothes the minute I wake up. I don't put on other things and then have to switch into my workout clothes. I just wear them. So I've learned what works for me. But they're all self-love to me. If I don't do them, I start feeling like something's wrong. And it's a luxury because I do take the time from what I could be with my kids. I could be working. I could be anything else, but I don't do any of those things as well as I do as efficiency if I'm not working out, meditating, and journaling.
Those things come up over and over again on this show as what works for women. And if you haven't tried them, give them a try. They will change your life.
Well, I think too, you made like a really good point. Like we think that we don't really need to do them. I like how you said that they're non-negotiable, because for so many years I was like, oh, that must just be for people that have nothing else to do, right? And I'm talking about like in my 20s and 30s. I was like, oh, that must just be something that people did when they just, what else do they have to do? They can meditate and journal and work out. But the reality is they really should be non-negotiables, because I agree with what you said. Like if I don't do those things, whatever that looks like for me, because workout for me and a workout for Joe Schmo probably look very different. But whatever those are, if I don't do them, I definitely don't function as well throughout my day. No doubt about it. And even on busy days, meditating is probably the one that trips me up the most, because I feel like I need to do it for longer than a few minutes. But the reality is if all I have is a few minutes, then that's what I need to do. Right. So I think I love how you said that. It should be non-negotiable. Absolutely.
And I love that my kids see me doing all of this.
Yeah.
They both read mindset books all the time.
Mhm.
And it's part of their chores, and they get paid for reading mindset books. And I hear them speaking to each other. Like my daughter was reading Who Moved My Cheese? And then there's a part in there, she goes, well, that's a fixed mindset. And she's 13. So, or I hear my son saying to my daughter, well, that's not a growth mindset. And I'm like, yes.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's
so
huge.
So I'm excited that, even on Zoom, they're in the background listening to everything I'm doing. And when they walk in and I'm meditating, they both know to be quiet. They both know that that's just the space, that it's what I do. But as I accomplish life, and as I am signing books, as I am having my name in things, they're so excited and they're so proud of me, and I'm proud of me. And I used to think, oh my God, is that showing off? Is that like not being humble? But as I see other people doing it, and I see other people speak with authority, and as I see other people share, I am so proud of them, and I'm so excited for what they're doing, that I don't think, oh, how dare you show off? It like makes me want to step into my leadership. So I used to be like, oh, I can't tell people that I'm doing something great because they'll think I'm showing off. No, because I don't think someone's showing off when they're, doing something great. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, I talk about that a lot. That like sharing your successes, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's how you share it. I mean, you can share something in multiple different ways, and one way is in a humble way, and other people do it in a bragging show off way. So absolutely, like we all need to be proud of ourselves and speak highly of ourselves, but there is a way to do it and still be humble. And yeah. All right, our fourth question is, how do you create accountability in your life?
Networking and being around like-minded people. I have really found an incredible tribe. And we're all working together. Like yesterday, my friend Philip, we all had assignment to turn in, and he says, did you turn in your assignment yet? I'm like, I was just in some level of resistance on actually completing this thing. Sometimes I do that. And it was actually done. I just hadn't turned it in. And just having that level of accountability, I'm like, shared. And there it was. And I love being around, like I have my group on Voxer, that I have a friend in Japan, in the UK, Florida, and myself and another friend in LA, and we connect daily. So we hold each other accountable and do our gratitude and affirmations and what we're connecting to and we're committing to daily. And then I have my business coach that I work with all the time, and tiny incremental steps, all of a sudden things are moving along. And I really do, I put my money where my mouth is. If I ask people to work with me and I request for them to do the work, I do it myself too, because I'm like, I can't expect you to do it if I'm not doing it. So there are times I don't want to do it, but because I know I'm asking you to do it and I really expect it done, I do it.
I love to how using technology, like sometimes I feel like we were a little bit born before the technology age, and so some of it gets a little difficult for us, but there's so much available to us that that you can create an accountability group with women that are, I don't know if they're women, with people that are in Japan and England and Florida, and you're in California, and when else in the span of time would people be able to have that opportunity to create accountability with someone in another country? So that's super cool.
It is.
All right. It is takeaway time of the show. Allison, do you have your takeaway?
I do. I've been having puppy issues. But I love that you are talking about, and I think this is so important. And I learned this the hard way when I was younger. And when I say younger, I mean like 16, 17, 18. And those are my friends that I'm still friends with from when I was 16, 17, 18. If you're still friends with me, I'm not talking about you. Just let me put that out there right now before I get texts and phone calls. But I think it's so important about finding your tribe and being around people that are like-minded and lift you up and support you. And I think when we're younger, we don't always make the best choices about that. And I definitely didn't. There were some people that I hung out with during that time that were not good. For lack of it, they weren't a good influence. And I didn't make good choices around them. And as I got older, I have really learned how really important that is. Like, what do they always tell you? You're most like the 5 people you hang, or you're like the 5 people you hang around the most with, or whatever that is. It's really true. I mean, that is what, my husband and I have been together for 30 years now. I will catch myself saying something and I'm like, that just sounded like something my husband would say, right? Because that's what happens. Like they rub off on you and stuff. So I love that you talked about, it being your tribe and that you should have those people in your life, whether it's accountability or like-minded or, however you do it. And I love Voxer too. That's like one of the best technological apps out there. So yeah, that would be my takeaway.
So I feel left out because I don't use Voxer, but my dad even uses Voxer.
You're on Voxer. You just don't ever use it.
Yeah, I don't know. It hasn't found a purpose in my life yet. But what I love that you touched on, because it's such a difficult point for so many people, is being able to talk about your accomplishments, and because it gets that label, like you have to be humble. Like it's not humble to talk about these things, and it absolutely is. And everyone needs to be okay with acknowledging their accomplishments and what they've done, and it's part of self-love practice to be able to do that, and to see your own greatness and be proud of it and be happy with it. And but it's not something that people talk about a lot, like the difficulty in that and the judgment in that. And so I'm glad that you brought that out there for people to hear, that yes, it's okay to speak of your accomplishments, and it's important that you do. So thank you for bringing that up. What's your takeaway today, Louisa?
Oh my God, I just love being able to share all of this with you guys. It just feels so good to authentically be able to share and to feel loved and appreciated and seen. And every time we do share ourselves, it feels like it really can impact other people. I love what you said about what you touched on from what I had shared is, like, I remember I was at an event and they were talking about crypto and they were talking about things I knew nothing about. And I felt less than instantly, just because I couldn't connect, because I wasn't on the level of communication that they were. And after they walked away, I got a text that says, "I just love your energy." And I thought, I don't always have to know everything. I could just be myself. I could just connect with people, and I could just show up authentically, and I don't have to know everything. And for me, just being able to do all of this without knowing how it's going to look, like you guys didn't know what was going to happen as you started this, and look where you are now. If it was based on my self-limiting beliefs, I would never be here, because I was too afraid with how it would look. And if I was going to do it right, I wouldn't be here. And it's not just that I'm super excited that I got to do this, but it's like, if I could do it, you could do it, because I was terrified of taking the first step. And I love the part of, like, if I could do it, you could do it, because it's just one tiny little step.
I think that's like such a lesson that I know I've learned, is that if you have that thought, if you have that desire and that passion to do something, it's there for a reason. Like, you need to go do it. Doesn't mean you're going to turn into some, like, Oprah, or I don't know. I'm not, but you know what I mean? It doesn't mean you're going to turn into some celebrity, but there are people out there that need to hear exactly what Louisa's going to say and exactly what Julietta is going to say. And if you never step into those passions and those thoughts and those desires, you're actually taking away from other people that really could use what you have to say. So I love that you brought that up. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. This has
Yay.
been wonderful. Thank you for
It
what
has
you
been a
both
great
did.
show.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Thank you so much for taking your time to join us today, Louisa. We really appreciate you being on. And I also want to send a big thank you out there to our audience. And if you've enjoyed or connected with what you've heard today, I invite you to please subscribe, like, follow, share. There's other people out there too that need to hear these messages. So please share with your tribe. And if you need to get a hold of Louisa or Alison or myself, check the show notes. All our contact information, website, social media, all of that good stuff is in there. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, head over to our website, which is votgpodcast.com. And there's a form on there you can fill out to request to be a guest. We would absolutely love to have you. So just fill out the form and we will be in touch with you. And I think that's everything. So I just want to say thank you again, Louisa. And I want to wish all of our audience out there a very magical day.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.